linear equations, solve. So the first thing to do here with this number a is we take a look at this and we realize we have a letter term and a number term on the same side. Now the first thing to notice is terms. So terms are separated by pluses, minuses, and equal signs. So if you look at this here, I actually have three terms in this equation altogether. And I have a letter term and a number term on the same side. So what I have to do first is I have to declare either my left or right side to be my letter side. And I'm just going to put an L there. That means my other side has to be my number side. So what that means here is all the letter terms go on this side and all the number terms go on the other side. So if I look at 3x, even though 3x, that term has a number in it, since it has a letter, I'm going to call that a letter term. So that means this 8 has to go because it's on the letter side. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. Hopefully this is okay with you guys. Okay, so I'm going to have to do it to the other side as well. And when I say to the other side of the equal sign. Okay, so in the process of subtracting 8 from both sides, what I'm going to get on the left side is 3x. Because it's really 3x plus 0, which is just 3x. And then on the right side, I'm going to get negative 8. Now what I'm going to do, once I established my letter side and number side, and then I moved everything, all my terms that were letters on the left and all my terms that were numbers on the right, then I do my last step here, which is divide by 3. So then my final answer for this one is x equals negative 8/3. There's the answer for that one. Now let's take a look at the next one here. So for this one, it's no different. I have a letter term and a number term and a number term. Even though they're fractions, it doesn't matter. They're still just numbers. Since that first term has a letter and a number in that term, I call it a letter term. And I'm just going to say, hey, my left side's still going to be my letters, and on the right I'm going to have my numbers. Now when I say left and right, I mean of the equal sign. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get rid of this 1/4 here because that's just a number, so it's a number term. So that how to get rid of that, I'm just going to add 1/4. So I'm going to add 1/4 to the right side of the equal sign. Okay, so on the left side, I'm going to have 1/3 x. And then on the right side, essentially what I'm going to have to do with this 3 is call it 3 over 1. And then I have to get like denominators, so I'm going to times the top and the bottom by 4. So that 3 is really 12/4. So adding that is really going to be 13/4 because I have to take this 1/4 plus 12/4, and that's 13/4. So I get 13/4. And then what I'm going to do is I have to divide now, because notice I have all my letter terms on the left side and I added them together. I have all my number terms on the right side and I added all those together. So my last step then is to divide. And I always divide by the number in front of my x, which is 1/3. So then on the left side, see, those are going to give me 1, so because they cancel. So that's going to give me 1x equals. And then on the right side, because of this divide here, you multiply by the reciprocal. So I take this number and I turn my division into multiplication, and then I flip the bottom number. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I get 13/4 times 3/1. So now my final answer then is going to be 39/4, because how do I add fractions? If you didn't know it, straight across. So my final answer is x equals 39/4. So now let's deal with this last one now. So for this last one here, this is a lot of mess, isn't it? So I'm going to take all of this stuff over here, and I'm just going to simplify it as much as I can. And what that means for this problem to simplify it is first I'm going to distribute. So I'm going to get a 6x minus 8. And now for this next piece here, which is right here, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. You may have not noticed this, but this is actually a 1 here. That's what I can think of it as. And I'm really distributing a -1 through to both of those terms. And what that's going to result in is a -3x or a -3x. That's what's a little strange here, is this sign here now becomes my operation. Very strange idea there, but try to make that transition if you can. Okay, and then for the next one, that's going to be a +6 because a negative times a negative is positive, and 1 times 6 is 6. And then on the other side, I have 3x minus 4. Now, if I look at the left side here, it's still not as simplified as it needs to be because I have 2x terms, and I also have 2 number terms on the left side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to combine those. I can simply add them because they're on the same side. So 6x minus 3x is going to be 3x. And then -8 plus 6 is going to be -2. And that equals 3x minus 4. Now, when I look at this problem I still don't have my letter terms on one side and my number terms on the other. So I'm just going to declare that now. So my left side, I'm going to make my letters, and my right side of the equal sign, I'm going to make my numbers. Okay, so that means this number right here has to go because it's on the letter side. Okay, so that means I'm going to add 2. So then I do the same thing to the other side. I'm going to add 2 there. So then I'm going to end up with 3x equals 3x minus 2. Okay, and then what I'm going to do here, now I'm going to go to the other side now because I have nothing but letter terms on the left side. So now I'm going to go to the right side, and the right side is my number terms. So that's a letter term, so it has to go because it has an x in it. So to get rid of that, I'm going to minus 3x. So minus 3x. So what I'm going to get on the left side here is, what's 3x minus 3x? It's 0. And then 3x minus 3x is 0 minus 2. So this is really 0 equals -2. That is the answer for this one. The strange thing about it is I lost my x, didn't I? So what this means, since 0 is not equal to -2, it can't be, right? That's impossible. So this tells me no solution. And that simply means that there is no x that I can plug in here for all these x's that would make both sides the same. Now, if I look at this previous one, number B here, if I plugged in 39/4 in for all of my x's, which is I just have 1 here, if I plugged it in there, that it would make both sides the same, which means both sides would be 3. That's what it means. And that's the only number that will do it for that equation. Now, for the previous one here, the first one we did, the -8/3, if I plug in -8/3 here, and I added all this stuff together here, then I would get 0 because that's what I have on the other side. So that's how that works. These are actually solutions to these equations. That's another way I can think of it. That's why we say solve.